Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at another scrapped script in the Halloween franchise, and it's taken from Taking Shape Part 2. This one is going to be Halloween 666, The Origin of Michael Myers. This screenplay was done by Irvin Belitek and Lawrence Guterman, and neither were a big Halloween fan to be honest, but both of them were brought in to fix the Rosenberg script. If you remember, the previous one was called Halloween 666, The Origin, and this one's called Halloween 666, The Origin of Michael Myers. The film opens up to a decrepit Myers house, and opening credits show painters and decorators. They're painting and fixing up the Michael Myers house. Jake Ferguson and his 17-year-old daughter Dana move into the house. Jake is going to be a janitor at Haddonfield High, whereas Dana is going to be a student at Haddonfield High. It cuts to 4 orderlies in a sanitarium where Michael Myers is kept, and the stranger that we see in some previous drafts and actual movies turns up at the sanitarium and wakes Michael Myers up. He goes away and Myers is awake and he kills the 4 orderlies and he escapes. On his way back to Haddonfield, Michael Myers sees a carjacking outside of a 7-Eleven. He interrupts the carjacking, kills all the robbers and takes the car. It's an actual Chevy Nova that he takes. It's quite important to note there is actually no ban on Halloween in this draft. I know that some previous drafts, the thought of Halloween in Haddonfield after everything that happened previously, then Halloween would have been banned, but in this one there is no ban. We're introduced to some new characters. We've got a nice guy called Johnny, and we've got a girl called Sabrina who's the bully of the school and the bully of the story. Sabrina's parents are quite rich and they rent out their garage or their garage to Tommy Doyle. So Tommy Doyle is now a 27-year-old hermit living in the loft of someone else's garage. As Sabrina is a bully, her and her friends call Tommy Too Slow Tommy because he is a bit slow in this one. Tommy still has the VR headset or the VR gear that he had in a previous draft, so he's still trying to look into the backstory of Michael Myers. Dana researches Michael Myers at school. She doesn't really know much about him or where he's from, and Tommy Doyle tries to warn her a couple of times and she feels like Tommy is stalking her, but it actually isn't Tommy that's stalking her, it's Michael Myers. After Dana finds out the history of Michael Myers, she goes to confront her dad about it because he didn't tell her the history of Michael and the house that they actually bought. He admits it to her that this is where Michael Myers first killed his big sister, and she wasn't happy about it. Dr. Loomis is yet again visited by Tommy Doyle, but in this one Loomis hasn't been seen since 1978, and it seems like in quite a lot of drafts that Tommy Doyle always ends up with Dr. Loomis. Even in the final draft of Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, Tommy goes to get help with Dr. Loomis and they kind of form a bond, and it's the same with this one. To rid Haddonfield of Michael Myers once and for all, Tommy Doyle visits a library. Of course, that's where you always go, and he reads a book on how this portal opens up once a year on Halloween, and he feels like if he puts Michael Myers into this portal, then he could be gone for good. Before Tommy Doyle can plan anything, Sabrina and her friends kidnap Tommy. When I say kidnap them, they take him for fun in their eyes and they put him into this sort of cage, but in doing that, at the same time, Dana sees it and Dana saves him. Dana, Loomis and Tommy then form this group to try and take down Michael Myers, and they end up back at Dana's house where the portal actually is. While they're trying to figure out how to stop Michael Myers makes his way to Sabrina's house where the party is, and he kills everybody or almost everybody at the party. Dana ends up in Tommy's garage. I think they're going to try and get the VR equipment, and Michael Myers finds Dana there. He then chases her back to her house where Michael Myers used to live. The police get involved, but unfortunately the police are no match for Michael Myers. Michael chases Dana up into her bedroom and she pushes Michael into the portal just before midnight. The portal just happens to be in the closet in Dana's bedroom, and that takes us back to 1978 where Michael tries to get to Laurie Strode in the closet, albeit it's a different house, but it's the same vibe. After Dana managed to push Michael into the portal, Dr. Loomis looks up at the clock and realises that the clock is actually 5 minutes too slow, so because of that they might have been too late. We then see the stranger again. He's pulling a body across the ground and we find out that that body is Michael Myers. The stranger then disappears into the night with Michael, and then the story ends. Rosenberg, who wrote the previous draft, didn't even get a credit or a mention in this version, even though a lot of the beats were the exact same as his, like the VR headset for example. The character of Dana is very similar to Laurie Strode. She's probably one of the most similar to Laurie out of all the drafts that we've read so far. There's even things that happen in this story that mimic things that happened to Laurie Strode in 1978. For example, Dana sits in a classroom, she looks out of the window and sees Michael Myers standing there staring at her, and he's also stalking her as well, just like he did with Laurie Strode. Dana's father, Jake, he's a little goofy in this script, and even though he's an important member of the script and the story, he doesn't really play a massive role in the film, and in fact he doesn't even feature in the finale of the movie. At the time of the finale, he's on a date with someone who also works at Haddonfield High. The teens in this script sounded like they were the worst characters ever, and if this film came to screen, they would probably be on the list of some of the worst characters, alongside John Strode from Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers and Ronnie from Halloween 2007. Only this time these annoying kids are just preppy and rich. Sabrina, of course, is obviously the worst one. She was the one that planned to put Tommy into this cage. Even when Tommy escaped the cage with Dana and Loomis, she even got her friends to kick Dr. Loomis. Actually kick an old man. I didn't like the sound of Tommy in this one because he was quite slow, and he even had a speech impediment in it, and it just didn't seem like the Tommy that I wanted to see. He felt like he could have been like Crazy Ralph from the Friday the 13th franchise, and I think he probably would have ended up like Crazy Ralph in the end, but luckily we got Paul Rudd's Tommy Doyle. As much as I don't love Paul Rudd's Tommy Doyle, he's a lot better than the one in this script. Johnny, the nice guy, he's a love interest in this one. He is friends with Sabrina, and Sabrina makes him do things that he doesn't want to do, but at the same time you can tell that he has a little bit of an interest in Dana, but I don't think that story goes anywhere because Dana's too interested in getting rid of Michael Myers. So although Johnny is a love interest, he's not really there. Characters like Sabrina were killed on screen in the film during the massacre at the party, but Johnny's fate was never really confirmed. We don't know if Johnny died or not. He could have got away. The script is quite similar to The Curse of Michael Myers that we actually got. We've got a family that move into the Myers house. They kind of know about Michael Myers, although Dana didn't, and we've also got a retired Loomis. So some of the main beats of the story are there. They're just a little bit different in the outside. Like I said, the portal idea was there in the Rosenberg script, the same in this one, only this time Michael needs to get pushed into the portal before midnight, and the portal takes place in Dana's closet. Apparently the ending was epic. It was going to be this really long chase sequence between Michael and Dana before Dana pushes him in to this portal. I know I mentioned in the script that she just pushes him in, and it sounded quite quick and slow and over with before we knew it, but apparently there's a really good chase sequence before it. I would have liked to have seen something like that in the final product. With this portal scene, it would have required quite a lot of CGI, and apparently that would have taken up a lot of the budget that they had planned. When Michael's getting pushed into this portal, when they use the CGI, apparently we were going to see Michael's previous victims pulling their hands out, sort of like Freddy Krueger style, pulling their hands out of this portal to pull Michael Myers in. We would see like Judith Myers, for example, which would have been quite interesting. So I think if it was a supernatural movie, I think that scene could have been epic, but because I would have wanted to have seen a grounded Halloween film, something like that would have just completely put me off. We learn nothing new about the stranger. He's only there to help Michael Myers, similar to Halloween 5, and that's it. The script does reference Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, in a scene where Dr. Loomis is tied up in the garage. He's tied up with a pumpkin mask on his head, very similar to Chalice in Halloween 3 with the skull mask on his head. A quick side note, the title Halloween 666 has nothing to do with the script. 666 just is 666. There is no ban on Halloween, like I said, and something about this script that I did like is there is no ban, the ban was lifted, and everyone is united on the lift of the ban. Everybody celebrates Halloween, whereas in previous scripts, even if a ban wasn't there, some people liked Halloween, some people didn't. So in this one, everyone loves Halloween, so yeah, that's good. Michael also doesn't return home because he finds out that somebody's living in his house, because I don't think he knows that someone's living in his house. The only reason he returns is because he hears the ban was lifted on Haddonfield, so he decides it's time to return home. Sheriff Meeker doesn't return here, and I think it's because in this one, nobody hates Halloween, but it's also all about making money at Halloween. So although the ban is lifted, a lot of people are happy that the ban is lifted because they can now make money off of the atrocities that happened previously. So characters like Mika just wouldn't really fit in this script. It's all about these preppy rich people that just want to make money. And that's another reason that one of the characters that does return, Tommy Doyle, is against it all. There's only one new character that's sort of against it, and that's Sheriff Dogan, the new sheriff in this story. Before Michael escapes, he's just sitting in a basement in an old sanitarium, and it's not even Smith's Grove. This is where the man in black comes and just watches over him. So he comes from time to time to watch over Michael until it's time for Michael to return. Michael doesn't have his costume for the first part of the script, but he gets his costume for the second part. Michael is the strongest he's probably ever been. There's parts in this script where he gets pieces of himself shot off, and he still manages just to go forward and just kill everyone in front of him. Michael also shows some reaction, some emotion in this script when he goes back to his house for the first time and sees Dana and Jake in the house eating their dinner. He looks into the window as if he's shown a bit of emotion as well. One thing this script does do well is it portrays the stranger the exact same way as it does in Halloween 5, and that he's just there to protect Michael or get Michael out of situations, but we don't know anything else about the stranger. Back onto the VR, for some reason Weinstein wanted a VR aspect shown up in the film. He feels like at this point in the 90s that VR is going to be used in lots of movies, and it was used in some movies, but it's terrible. But he wanted it to be used. Luckily, Guterman, who came in to rewrite the script, he had a bit of background on VR equipment, so he was able to utilise the idea a little bit more realistically. In this one, Tommy uses the VR headset to look at blueprints of the Myers house, which is a lot more realistic than the previous script. In the previous one, Tommy used the VR headset as an interactive Ouija board, and that was obviously terrible. The party scene in this one makes the actual final scene that we got in The Curse of Michael Myers in the hospital seem very tame, because this party scene sounded pretty epic. In this party scene, Michael's first victim is of course someone dressed up as the Shape, dressed up as Michael Myers, so you can guess where Michael Myers gets his costume from. Yep, from that person, and then he goes on an absolute rampage after that. You don't feel for these kids at the party because they're all terrible human beings, and in actual fact, the party's theme is a 70s massacre theme in celebration of what happened in 1978. There is a scene before Sabrina's killed where Michael corners her and she takes her bra off and tries to coax Michael into not killing her, but he does it anyway. Why wasn't this movie made? Well, I think that Bob Weinstein at this point was sick and tired of all the delays. They wanted the movie to come out in October 1994. That was the release date that they were going to go with, despite all the redrafts that were done and the sackings and stuff. So he said to Mustafa Akkad that there was going to be a $10,000 fine for Akkad, even Bob Weinstein, if they declined a script that came in and asked for rewrites. So anytime they've done that, a $10,000 fine would be given to whoever said no. But of course, Mustafa Akkad was quite rich anyway, so he was happy to say no. Matthew Patrick was brought in to direct the film. He previously directed Hider in the House with Gary Busey. Mustafa Akkad was surprisingly okay with this idea of him coming in to direct the film, and I think it's because he was the first Oscar-nominated director to direct a Halloween film. He was nominated for a short. Patrick went as far as going location scouting, getting ready to set up for the direction of the film. He was going scouting, he was getting all the set design set up and everything. Everything was on course, it was all greenlit, and they'd done something that they haven't done for the previous scripts, and that is spend a lot of money. All of this money was spent though, and there was still no 100% agreement on a screenplay. I think one of the reasons that Akkad liked Patrick was they agreed on the script that they currently had. Akkad still thought there should be changes made to the script, and so did Patrick. Patrick felt that the script wasn't really complete, so they were in agreement. Bob Weinstein still wasn't happy with the fact that Akkad wasn't happy with the script. Bob Weinstein also wasn't happy that Patrick agreed with Akkad. I think that Bob Weinstein, anyone who disagrees with Bob Weinstein is sacked right off the bat. So when he found out that Akkad and Patrick still weren't happy, then he put the production of the film down and it went back into development again. And that was just 2 weeks before the film was due to commence. Everything was set up, the sets were ready, the actors were ready, everyone was hired to make the movie, and 2 weeks before they were about to begin, Bob Weinstein thought, I'm going to spit the dummy and say no. Matthew Patrick was then out of a job and he was let go. This is where Daniel Farrands was brought in after everybody left, and he was the eventual writer of the new movie Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers. With Farrands, of course, he brought back most of the characters and the story from Halloween 5. Judging by Belichick's interview on this, it feels, and I think this is quite nice to hear, it feels like he was doing meetings with Bob Weinstein and Mustafa Akkad separately, and if he said that anytime he had a meeting with Bob Weinstein, Weinstein was interested in everything apart from Halloween, whereas when he had a meeting with Mustafa Akkad, he was interested in nothing but Halloween. So it seems like even though Akkad was constantly saying, nope, don't like it, and sounded like a really annoying person, he only had Halloween at heart. Halloween was his main interest, whereas Bob Weinstein just wanted to make money. Matthew Patrick also stated that if he were kept on to direct the film, whatever script was going to be, he would try and make it more of a suspenseful horror film in the same vein as the 1978 movie. It's obviously easier said than done because he didn't do it, but I believe him. I think he wanted Halloween to be Halloween again, and the exact same with Mustafa Akkad, but obviously that wasn't to happen. And he did mention as well that the eventual movie that was made also did have production hell. Anyone who was involved in the eventual making of the actual Halloween 6 said it was a nightmare on set, and he said he was glad that he just wasn't part of it. So what are your thoughts on that, guys? A really strong Michael Myers, a crazy party scene that was going to have the greatest deaths of all time in the Halloween franchise. A lot of it sounded interesting. A lot of it sounded like the same old that we wouldn't want to see. But I think what I took away from this one, and it's as strange as it sounds, is the fact that I know now that Mustafa Akkad really did have Halloween at heart, and Miramax and Bob Weinstein really didn't. All they wanted to do was make money. So what I take away from this is Mustafa Akkad truly is the godfather of Halloween. But anyway, guys, if you've got anything else that you want to say about this one, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.
Meeting adjourned.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back!